Big Sills, National Football Show. Appreciate you coming aboard as you do each and every single week. Thank you again. And once again, the National Football League is front and center. It's funny when you listen to some of the stories that are going around now. This is the land and this is the time of misinformation. You know, there's organizations right now that want to send out false intel as you get closer to Wednesdays, 4 o'clock Eastern time, to kind of like send you astray. Got to remember that. And as we get into April, you're going to see teams going further away from the actual player that they want to draft in the April draft. So we're in the time of misinformation. And this is where you have to kind of like weed through and go by what teams and what their nature is. Certain teams have a pattern on how they do things. They like to go cookie cutter. They'll worry about free agency. They'll worry about coaches. Then they'll worry about the draft. Then they'll get into mini camps. Then they'll get into the July training camp. And then there's other teams that go with the flow. I think those are teams that gamble more. And those are teams traditionally that, again, you see hit or miss sometimes. There's certain teams that have a pattern. Eagles have a pattern. And that's why they've been consistently successful, along with the Patriots. Teams like that, Seattle. Teams with any good ownership or leadership and not combining it. Look, Jerry Jones is a great owner. He's a horrible general manager. Okay, he gets in the way of too many things. He puts his beak instead of letting people do their jobs. You know, one of the greatest things that you can have in an organization is a guy that lets people do their job, no matter what the profession is. Just go do your job, dude. I hired you for that. How many times do you get hired, or you, especially in my profession, you get hired by a dumbass program director or market manager, and the first thing they want to do is try to change you or add something. You're like, look, I'm not one of these guys that doesn't have an open mind with things, but dude, you just hired me. It's like when Rich McKay came on the show, Sills. We put you in a nose guard. I had never played nose guard in my life when I went to Tampa. My first big thing was, why did you draft me? I've never played nose guard. And Rich came on the program and said, you're a 3 technique. We should have left you there. Anyway. All right. The Eagles were attacked yesterday. 4 players. 4 talented players. One was depth. The others were starters. Have been knocked off your football team. By the way, I want to throw a statistic at you. Do you know that 33% of free agents that are signed to football teams, that's the amount of success you have. 33% when you go out in free agency and you hire or sign a free agent, there's only a 33% success rate. So what Howie did last year was unprecedented. There's not a chance in hell he repeats that. He doesn't have the latitude this year. He's got to sign a quarterback. He doesn't have that latitude. 2023 he will, because Jalen's still on that rookie deal, but you got to sign that quarterback. You got to start putting money away. You got to start creating space. That's what he's doing. It's why he's not active, and he's waiting to see what's left after the chaos come Friday. 4 players that were instrumental in building a football team's roster that I considered one of the better rosters in the NFL. He's not doing that again. You guys go like this. Howie's really great. Dude, did you hear what I said? Most of the time, 33% success rate on free agents. He's not going to duplicate all those guys coming in and having impact. Now, again, I will concede this. The NFC sucks, and I'm going to make an example of that later in the program. By the way, Philly 500, our boy's going to join us in the last hour of the program, 5:30 Eastern. Darren Waller was just signed by the Giants. Spectacular talent. Eagles have nobody to cover him except the injury report, which he's been on a lot the last couple of years. Darren Waller's a fabulous talent. Nobody in Philadelphia can cover the guy. However, the guy's got to be healthy. Durability and availability play a factor in how you evaluate a free agent. That's why the Eagles are looking at this probably going like this. He's a fabulous player. The Giants had to give up a third-round pick. Still, dude, you got to stay off the IR list. If you're going to be a guy who's going to be an impact for that Giant team this year, you've got to be a guy that is on the roster. You can't be in the tub. Carla, thanks for coming aboard. I really appreciate it. So, I mean, look, the Giants adding that guy, it's a gamble, and I think it's really time for the Raiders to move on from him. Last 3 years have been a train wreck health-wise for the kid. Guy's a great player. He is. Darren Waller's a great player, and Philadelphia has nobody on the roster right now to cover him. Nobody. However, dude, you got to be on the field. So there's that component. Sills, do you think that's an A-plus move for the Giants? Remember what I told you. You want to win a Super Bowl? You want to be in contention for the postseason? You've got to draft and you've got to sign free agents to win your division. Don't worry about San Francisco and Seattle, Chicago, Green Bay. Don't worry about those teams. Worry about the teams that you have in front of you that you have to play twice a year. So if I were the Eagles, am I concerned about the Darren Waller move? Yeah, because you know what it did? Think about what the Giants just did. They attacked a weakness on the Eagles, who just lost TJ Edwards and most likely are going to lose Kaiser White. And stop with this, Nakobe Dean and Jordan Davis. That's wishful thinking on March 14th. You don't know if these guys can play. They were not able to crack the starting lineup, and one was told to me that was the steal of the draft, and the other was the 13th pick. He was a non-factor. As of right now, Nakobe Dean is a dude. He's not a great player. I'm not sure he's a good player. We'll see. You've gone from certainty to wishful thinking. Javon Hargrave is a certainty. Jordan Davis is wishful thinking. TJ Edwards is a certainty. Nakobe Dean is wishful thinking. Okay? I mean, seriously, you go from questions to like the certainty of knowing what a player is to the unknown. Jordan Davis, unknown. As of right now, on March 14th, he's not the 13th pick in last year's draft. He's not. He's not even remotely close to that pick. Is he a good player? Yeah. Is he the 13th pick? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So don't sit here and tell me, well, we got the guys on the roster that will replace the guys we're losing in free agency. Howie sucks at drafting. And now that Jason Kelsey's back, last year's draft once again will have no impact on the football team unless they move Cam Jurgens to guard. We're going to have to wait and see. Kobe Dean couldn't get on the field. And when I saw him in special teams, I agree with you. Isaiah brings a great point up. $22 million, Sills? Not here either. I get it. But this organization just saw what the Giants did. They're attacking a weakness on the Philadelphia Eagles. They just lost a linebacker who was a pretty good player on their football team last year in TJ Edwards. What did the Giants do? They went out and they got a very skilled tight end. Again, health is the issue. Not getting away from that, nor can you run from that. Darren Waller's a great player. However, guy, you've got to be on the field. He's got to be on the field, man. For him to be considered spectacular, durability has to play into this. Okay? Just remember what I said here. 33% of free agents are a success. What Howie did last year, he's not duplicating that. You know why? He's got to duplicate it with draft choices. Here's something else to think about. You know, I see people because they go over to my social media page, my Twitter page, and they go, here's Sileo in March talking about the Eagles not making the playoff. Bro, you guys made your championship run in March of last year. You added A.J. Brown in April. These players, you don't get better during the season. You build your championship team in the offseason by compiling talent. The Eagles are losing talent. Okay? You're losing talent. I'm going to make a prediction to you here, too. The position that the Eagles are in right now because of the contract of Jalen Hurts, that team will not win a Super Bowl during this whole time here in the Jalen Hurts era. They won't. They won't. They're going to be the Cowboys. You're not going to go to a Super Bowl unless you got Patrick Mahomes and a lesser roster. How? How are you looking at this football team this year, the Eagles, and going, now, to be fair to that, to be fair to Philly, Sills, is there really anybody in the NFC that makes you go like this? That team is so spectacular. We can't beat them. It's a great point. I'm going to show you something here. Watch this. With all the reports that are out there on Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets, okay? Let me read you the quarterbacks in the NFC, and you tell me, even with a lesser, and again, I'm kind of walking back, I guess, a little bit on this because you got to look at who you're playing. Okay? If Aaron Rodgers is not in the NFC, Hurts, Derek Carr is your second best quarterback in the NFC. Stafford, Geno Smith, Dak Prescott, Jared Goff, Kirk Cousins. When Kyler Murray comes back, Justin Fields, Jalen's the better quarterback of these guys. There's no doubt about it. So that gives you the advantage here. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we're not talking about the quarterbacks that are over in the AFC. And now Rodgers gets added to that mix, and does Garoppolo. The AFC's loaded. NFC, Carr, Stafford, Smith, Dak, Goff, Cousins, Murray, Fields. These aren't elite guys. Those aren't elite quarterbacks. Matthew Stafford's not an elite quarterback. He's not. This guy doesn't even have a 500 record. He's not an elite guy. And people go, well, Sills, he was in Detroit all those years. Yeah, he had Megatron there too. So this guy's had Megatron and Cooper Kupp in his career, and he's still under 500. I mean, right. Look at those quarterbacks. Does anybody really make you go like this if you're in Philadelphia? Hey, I didn't even put Daniel Jones on the list because I can't stomach it. So, hey, do me a favor, Tone. It looks like the Eagles have signed Rashad Penny. Guy can't block. He's not very good. Always hurt. Could never get on the field in Seattle. That's not that great a sign. It's not that great a sign. He's been a gigantic bust in Seattle. Gigantic bust in Seattle. It's a terrible sign. That's not an elite guy. It's a cheese guy. He's a dude. Is he a good runner? Yeah. Is he a guy who's good in blocking? The kid Carson, he was like a 5th or 6th rounder, beat him out up there. He's not that good. He's not that. That's not a very good sign, Rashad Penny. He sucked in Seattle. He was an absolute bust in Seattle. A bust. Never got on the field. He's just not a good player. Here, let's see how many games he's actually played. Give me a break. Rashad Penny, I watched him at San Diego State. He was good in college. Rashad Penny stats. Here, Seattle, 2022, 346 yards. Spectacular. 2021, 749. 2020, 34. 2019, 370. 2018, 419. The guy's a turd. It's not, he's average. It's a C plus sign. It's a C plus sign. It's a cheap sign. By the way, let's throw this out there. Hey, Howie, with another failure, Andre Dillard, bust. Andre Dillard, bust. Am I wrong? Another failure by Howie Roseman as a drafter in Andre Dillard. Bust. Could never get into the starting lineup. You drafted him in the first round, and you allow him to walk in free agency. Since 2019, bust has been Andre Dillard. You can add that to the Jalen Ragers of the world. Bust. Okay? He's a bust. Okay? Cody says that he's shaping up to be a good player for someone else. In Philadelphia, Andre Dillard was a bust. No getting around it. You draft a guy in the first round to be a starter, not a backup who bitches. Not a backup who bitches. 2019, they took him in the first round. He is an absolute bust. Another one you could put on the side of failure for the general manager when it comes to evaluating college talent. Am I wrong? You think Andre Dillard had a great Eagle career? You tell me. You guys seen him longer. Tell me. Okay? Rashad Penny. Dude. So Seattle gives up on a position that they need help in running the ball. And so Seattle gives up on a first-round pick. There's another bust. There's another bust. Give me a break. I've seen Penny play. He's never healthy. 6 yards a carry, baby. Yeah, in 6 games with 200 yards. Congratulations to you. He's quite an impact player in Seattle, wasn't he? How about this? Let's put a grade on Rashad Penny's career in Seattle. D. You signed a guy who had a D career in Seattle, and you're trying to tell me he's a good sign. Okay. Andre Dillard's career in Philly, D. Hey, that's right. And Seattle moved up to get the kid. They moved up to get the guy. Rashad Penny, Melvin Gordon. Probably Melvin Gordon was better, I guess. Okay? Howie signs Rashad Penny. Okay? Dude, I just got through talking to you about the tight end going to the Giants and has to stay out of the tub. This guy's got to stay out of the tub too. He's always – so you go from, get this, Miles Sanders, who's had injury issues in himself, to a guy who's hurt more. Solid move. So you go from a guy that you bitched about in Miles Sanders, who couldn't stay on the field, to a guy who's on the field less than Miles Sanders and less production. Solid. Okay. He'll never duplicate what he did last year. Never in a million years. Never. Rashad Penny. That's the Eagles' position on the running back, though. Linebackers and running backs, they don't give a shit. They don't care about that position. They're going to go by committee, and they're going to go by committee at linebacker. They're not going to – hey, let me just show you the kind of, like, asinine, backwards thinking some teams have. Look at the Bears now. Hey, Tone, figure this one out for me. So the Bears let go of Roquan Smith, who's like 25 or 26 years old, and maybe the second best inside linebacker in the NFL, right? They turned around yesterday and they signed 2 players that are linebackers on substantial deals. And you let Roquan Smith walk out the building, but what's the first thing you do in free agency? You sign 2 inside linebackers? Help me out on that one. I'm not, so wait, I give up talent in Roquan Smith for 2 dudes that are decent. Okay? I thought the idea was collecting good players. I mean, hey, that's right. Tone's like, they just spent $100 million on 2 inside linebackers, and they let the second best inside linebacker go to Baltimore. This is what I'm talking to you about, where the Bears are always in that toilet bowl that never flushes. It's just in that toilet bowl. Give it to the Eagles. They're going to make a move if they see something not working. Give it to them. The Bears are in a revolving toilet bowl that never flushes with a ton of shit in it. They never get out of their own way. I mean, the Eagles never act like that. They have misses, sure. But they see something that's not working, they're going to move off it. Give them credit on that. And they hire really good assistant coaches. I give that all. Organizationally, I told you this. Howie's terrible as a draft evaluator. But as many of you say, Sills, not everybody's a success when it comes to drafting. Drafting is it's like doing the stock market. I agree. His strengths are cutting deals. Salary cap, that's what he is. He's a salary cap guy. That's how he came into the Eagles. He's a librarian. He's not a talent guy. He doesn't come from that end of the NFL. In talent, this guy manages a checkbook. But what he's done ever since being put in the broom closet, he's listening more. I think he's a better general manager today. I do. Okay? Tone says that McMullen on Birds 365 this morning said the Bears spent all this time tanking to accumulate assets just to know what to do when it matters most. What to do when it matters most. I mean, John's right. They spent all this time and all this time blowing for what? 2 inside linebackers? You built up all that equity and $100 million and under the cap for 2 inside backers? Why didn't you go get Jalen Ramsey? Shit, go get Ramsey. Get a lockdown corner. Draft an edge rusher. You should have kept Roquan Smith. Sign Hargrave. Improve the defense. Give the kid on the other side some help on wide receiver and O-line. Side 2 inside backers, and you let Roquan. That is where you see certain organizations. They just don't freaking get it. Yeah. Do you know what Howie did today with Rashad Penny? Rashad Penny, he shopped at the dollar store. Rashad Penny is a dollar store acquisition. If Darren Waller has issues with health, what about this guy? And here, this is a little bit of a Bears move. So you're getting rid of a guy who had 1,300 yards and 11 touchdowns last year for a guy who's hurt more and less productive. It's because they don't really look at the running back position with any kind of equity. They don't care. They'd rather be cheap and young there. That's how they look at the running back position. That's not that great a sign. He's not great. The reason he didn't stay on the field in Seattle, Pete Carroll told me on my radio show 3 years ago. You know what he said? He struggles in blocking in the pass game. When I had my show based in Seattle and San Diego, he went to San Diego State. I had Pete on. He couldn't see the starting lineup his first 2 years because he was terrible in pass protection. Facts. So they went cheaper because they got to sign Jalen Hurts. This is turning into a colossal disaster for the Eagles fundamentally. Good grief. Jalen Hurts' contract is now going to make the Eagles shop at the dollar store. Rashad Penny. Okay. I'm waiting to see what Bradbury and C.J. Gardner-Johnson do. These guys are going to get gargantuan offers on the open market. The Eagles are in no position to overpay. You got a $25 million wide receiver. You've got a 14. Let me add this up to you now. On your offensive side of the ball, you're top heavy. Figure this out, Tone. Ready? You got a $25 million wideout, a $15 million center, a $17 million left tackle, and an $18 million right tackle. And you haven't even paid the quarterback yet. No shit, you have to go cheap at running back. That's why you're shopping at the dollar store. You're going to give that guy $50 million bucks? So you're going to have, wait a minute, let me get this correct. A $50 million, here, let me do the math because, you know, Big Sil's got to write it down. This is just on offense. 25 wide out. $15 million center. There's 40. $16 million left tackle. There's 56. $18 million right tackle. There's $74 million. There's $74 million bucks. $75 million in 4 players on a $220 million salary cap. Oh, man. Well, and a $50 million quarterback that's in the hopper. No wonder you got Rashad Penny. You know what his name is? Rashad Penny. Dude, that guy is always hurt. But you know what you'll hear in the Philly media? Great. Howie being Howie. He signed a guy who's a bust in Seattle. But they'll turn this thing into some sort of like diamond in the rough. Dude, he was a bust. His career in Seattle's a D. But by the time he gets to Philly, it'll be an A because it's Howie vision. He's a bum. Hey, I'll tell you what. Where do I go to the secondhand clothes store? Where is that? What's the aisle on that? It's the Rashad Penny aisle. Where is that? It's in the rear. And I mean that with great respect. Oh, man. Rashad Penny. God, I hope that's not true. Seriously, I hope that's not true. Holy cow. So let me ask you this. Me too. I'll take Gainwell over Penny. I'll take Boston Scott over Penny. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. 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 I'll take them too. I'll take Gainwell and Boston Scott over that dude. Watch this. Is Rashad Penny more talented as a runner than those other two guys? Boston and Gainwell? Yes. He can't stay healthy and he can't block. Sills, is it true? Yeah, that's what I was told. I was told that the Eagles offered 3 years, $51 million for Hargrave. Dude, $84 million in 4 years. San Francisco, good luck to you, man. I'm not paying that either. As talented as I think Javon Hargrave is, I'm not paying $22 million or $20 million for a defensive tackle. He's not the third best interior tackle. Sorry, I'm just not doing that. I would have to let him go. Hey, more power to you, man. Good for you. But I can't do that. I just can't do that. I would have a problem doing that too. If I'm going to pay anybody, I'm paying edge rushers, and I'm going to pay a corner. I'm not going to pay a D tackle. A D tackle, $22 million? Really? I mean, come on. Shit, man, you need to pay $25 million for a decent quarterback at San Francisco. You don't have a decent quarterback in San Francisco right now, or one that's healthy. Okay? Let me ask you this. And again, I got to remember this. I want to do this. By the way, today, ideal picks for the 10th pick post combines and the 31st pick. My top 10 NFC teams as of March 14th. Top NFC teams. What else do we got here? And I threw this out. Quarterbacks that I think are going to go in the first round. This may play a factor in potentially Jalen Carter falling to the Eagles. So we'll hit on that. Let me ask you this here. I think the Eagles are taking a step back this year. Do you? Let me hear this. You think the Eagles take a step back this year? Or do you think they go under 14-win merry way? I got to hear this. Wow. The Eagles signed Rashad Penny. Jesus criminy. Wow. They went to the dollar store to sign Penny. How much will you take for Rashad Penny? $1.20. Oh, wait, it's the dollar store, 89 cents. Okay. Peter goes maybe. Still win 11 games probably. How do you think the Eagles take a step back? 11 wins is realistic to me. Is it? Oh, you're now like every other team in the NFL. You're not complete. You're no longer the complete team you were. And to think you're going to replace them with rookies, you don't have Patrick Mahomes. Get that through your head. You're going to find out what elite quarterbacking is when you don't have a defense. You're going to find out. Like every team finds out when they pay their guy. You're going to find out if he's elite, just like you found out with Carson Wentz. Are you willing to do this? Over one season, a great year, a Carson Wentz 2017 year that Jalen Hurts had. Very comparable, right? Wentz had better numbers, though. Is that worth a $50 million gamble to you? 1 year. Is that a $50 million gamble? To me, I don't know. $50 million on 1 year. You gambled once and you were wrong. Are you willing to do it again? Tell me I'm wrong. Logo's not even close to Wentz. Jalen didn't have a better season this year than Carson Wentz did in 17. He didn't. He didn't have a better season. He finished second. I'm talking about the 2017 season where the Eagles came to Wentz's folks and Wentz and opened up the checkbook. There was actually a little bit more of a sample size than what you have here with Hurts. There's even smaller of a sample size and a lesser of a team coming back. Jason goes, I'm delusional. Wentz finished second in the MVP that year. And actually, if it wasn't for Wentz's play, the Eagles don't have home field advantage and you don't win a Super Bowl. They actually won it because of him. That's a fact. You could try to change the narrative all you want, but no one would believe you. You can have that delusional brain thinking thought in your head, but if you don't have Carson Wentz at 17, you do not win the Super Bowl. And he finished second, and he had a better year than Jalen. Look it up. Are you sold? No, better yet, are you willing to make a $50 million per year gamble that Hurts is your guy, and he, with a lesser team, can win a Super Bowl? I don't believe he can. I do not believe that Jalen Hurts, when the Eagles pay him $50 million, can lead this team like Mahomes did with a lesser team to a Super Bowl. I do not believe that. I do not. His best chance to win that Super Bowl was in 2022. With a lesser team, not happening. Tell me I'm wrong. Do I think Josh Allen is going to lead the Buffalo Bills to a Super Bowl now that his contract is kicked in? I don't know. Do I think that kid's a great talent? I do. Do I think Jalen Hurts is a good player? I do. Do I think they're going to lead their teams to Super Bowls with lesser teams? I don't know. We're going to find out a little bit about that with Joe Burrow, too. His contract is up. The Bengals have to open up the checkbook, which Mike Brown's not noted to do. We're going to find out a lot about Hurts, Burrow, and Allen in the next 18 months. Facts. I know this. That guy in Kansas City can do it and has done it. He's got a lesser team today than he did with that Super Bowl he lost to Brady. His first Super Bowl, he had a stronger team. And this year, what did he do? He broke records all over the place. I don't believe Hurts is that guy. I think he is a good football player. Dak's never going to lead the Cowboys to the Super Bowl. What makes you think the Eagles with Hurts with a lesser... You don't have that roster. Get that. Erase the 2022 Eagle roster from your brain. You'll never see that team again. Shit, the 17-team roster wasn't that 2022 roster. Seattle's going to be a good football team this year. Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are doing it right with Veach in Kansas City. These 50 look at San Francisco. San Francisco, you guys keep saying San Francisco can't figure out the quarterback position, and yet they've been to 4 NFC championship games in 5 years. At least they're in the game. Imagine that. And you had Christian McCaffrey playing quarterback because the Eagles knocked out with Hassan Reddick, Brock Purdy. But they got there with a guy making $900,000. The teams that pay their quarterback don't go anywhere except Kansas City. Tell me I'm wrong. Do you really think that Jalen Hurts can lead a team to a Super Bowl with no defense? There's only one guy. Isaiah goes, Mahomes, 185 yards, still won. Proof is Andy's doing. Oh, that's right. It's not Mahomes, who had no incompletions except a throwaway in the second half. You're right. I love that. Mahomes is the system. Patrick Mahomes is the system. Like in Philly, Jalen Hurts is the system. Jalen was better in the Super Bowl than Pat. Not when it mattered. Not when it mattered. The guy was, the Eagles didn't stop him. I will say this to you. Quez Watkins has to catch that pass. It was right on his hand. And by the way, let me walk this in here just to make sure that we're not being completely unfair here. Hurts was spectacular in the Super Bowl. He was. There is no I will not make up a false narrative on that. He was. NFC title game and the divisional game, he stunk. But in the Super Bowl, he was fantastic. And by the way, you're not hearing me say he's not a really good player. He is a really good player. That guy is not going to carry a football team that's not loaded to a Super Bowl ever and win it. It's not happening anywhere in the league. And it hasn't. You have to have a guy who throws the ball a ton. Dude, Matthew Stafford, okay, won a Super Bowl with a loaded football team. Now they're paying the consequences of that. They had an under 500 record the year after the Super Bowl. See, they're willing to take a step back. They had to. It was worth it. I agree. I mean, a couple of years of shitty ball to win a Super Bowl, nobody's going to have a problem with that. Dude, I didn't say the Eagles sucked. I said the NFC sucks. That's the only thing that you have in the building that keeps you in the conversation. Dude, are you under some sort of impression that there's not going to be more exits on this team? You're not keeping both Bradbury and CJ. One is gone. Man, you're going to lose 4 starters out of your 11. Key players. That's not even counting Fletcher and what he does. Fletcher will have a market. He'll have a market. Could you see him in Dallas? Sure. Could you see him in LA with the Rams? Probably. Chicago? They need a tackle. Seattle just made a move for a D tackle. Let me say this to you, too. Was it a fundamental mistake not to address Jalen first, or here we are? Should they have done Jalen's deal? Or should they have gone down the route of free agency first? Free agency was next on the calendar. Jalen's going to get paid. See this guy, what he says? He sure is. And it's in the beginning of destroying the roster. Howie's got to account for that. That's why he went shopping at the dollar store for Rashad Penny. They hired a kid who's hurt more than Miles Sanders. Let's take a look at him. How many games he's played, actually? Has he ever played a 16? Let's see. Let's see if he's ever played a 16-game season. First year, 14 games. Second year, 10 games. So let me get this right. This guy has 11 starts. He's a first rounder, and Seattle moved up to get him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In 5 years, this running back in Seattle, who they traded up to get in the first round, Rashad Penny, has 11 starts. Who beat him out? Who was up there? Adrian Peterson? Hey, was Beast Mode still playing? I mean, he has 11 starts. And he's never played a full season. 5 games last year. 10 the year before that. 3 before that. The kid Carson was pretty good. I liked him, actually. I think he was a 6th rounder. A 6th rounder outplayed Rashad Penny up there in Seattle. And this is a big sign. Paul says, Big Sills, if we draft Bijan, we can outscore teams. Paul, you're going to have to. Next year, we're going to have 10 picks in the 4 rounds with all our comp picks. If we draft well, we could dominate the NFC. This is where I was going, Paul. Paul, do you mind taking a step back this year so that you could be successful for the next 5 years? Okay. Would it be okay? Hey, say they win 9 games. They go 9-8. But they had to take a step back, 1 to sign Jalen and 1 to retool. Every team has to retool, especially when you have success. And again, folks, I said this yesterday, and I'll say it again to you. You were never built for a dynasty. How could you with 18 one-year deals? How could that possibly be with all those guys that were going to be free agents? You're going to lose half your starting lineup on defense. That's not a dynasty. And because you have a quarterback you think is good, that doesn't make for a dynasty. It doesn't. Dan Marino put up a shitload of numbers every single year. Dan Marino was the 80s version of Kirk Cousins. Ton of yards. Big time numbers. 1 Super Bowl appearance. Never went back. Okay. Cody says, I expect this year to be like how we thought this would go. Maybe playoffs, maybe not. Cody, I think they're going to battle because the NFC is not very good. I'm with you. I think they'll battle in there because Jalen's a good player. Nobody here today is saying he's not. He's not Mahomes. He's not going to carry that football team. And Jalen Hurts, for them to win a Super Bowl this year, would have to break the single season passing number. have 1,200 yards rushing, keep their defense on the bench, and not miss games. That's not happened so far. He hasn't even thrown for $4,000 yet. You don't have the personnel on this team to get back to the Super Bowl, let alone to the playoffs yet. Now, again, the NFC is just not very strong. I'm going to look at some of those teams here in a minute. Listen, I'm going to make a point to you. I think if the Eagles make the playoffs this year, that would be phenomenal. And then in 24, with all those compensation picks, and like Paul says, the 10 picks, then you can go younger. Hey, personally, the year that the Bengals went to the Super Bowl, I think the Chiefs took a step back. When they lost like Honey Badger and them dudes. Okay, as long as it's, what's the year that the Eagles won only 4 games? What was the year? What was that? 21? No, 20. It was 2020, right? Tone, am I right? 2020? Okay. As long as it's not that, you're good. Teams take steps back. Look at the Chiefs. The Chiefs are going to lose Orlando Brown. That's a loss. Okay, now they're going to sign the kid from Jacksonville and bring him over to replace that guy at lesser money. You see what I'm saying here? The Chiefs, as that contract escalates with Mahomes, have to get younger and cheaper. But they've got a talent and a talented head coach who's better today than he was in Philly to navigate through all this. I'm going to make a point to you, man. During the salary cap era and what they're doing in Kansas City right now, navigating around it, is almost a duplicate of what they did in New England when they had Belichick and Brady up there. You're starting to see some of that in Kansas City right now. They're able to navigate around it because you know why? They got a quarterback that can win the game. Not a game. Jalen can win a game, for sure, multiple. But to win the game with lesser players, I don't believe it. He couldn't. Well, that's not fair his first year starting. We'll see. This year's going to tell us a lot more. Now, look, he's going to have a talented offense. And for the record, and I said this yesterday, and I'll say it one more time to you. I do not believe that offense, well, are you putting more heat on Jalen Hurts to run the ball more now that you're losing Miles Sanders? Dude, I'm not counting on Rashad Penny to do shit. He has it in 3 years, and he has it in 5. He was a failure in Seattle. But all of a sudden, they're going to find the fountain of decent in Philly? Maybe. You're only hoping. Again, here we are in the land of unknown. Again, that is a sign of unknown. The Kobe Dean, unknown. Jordan Davis, unknown. There's not one bit of certainty in those names. Rashad Penny, are you certain he's going to be healthy? How could you? He's never been. Are you sure he's going to be able to pick the mail up for Miles Sanders? He couldn't beat a 6th-rounder out in Seattle. He's not that good a player because he's never healthy. When he's on the field, he can run. Dude, I think one time he was the NFC Player of the Week. 100-some-odd yards rushing. No one's saying he can't play. He just doesn't play enough. Look at TJ go. He'll do great. Because the last 5 years he's blown. But TJ goes, he's going to be great. I love it. The Kobe Dean has a national championship. That doesn't mean shit in the NFL. Nobody cares about what he did in college. Nobody. He won a national championship at Georgia. And? Big deal. What does that get you as an NFL player? Nothing. It gets you overdrafted. That's what it does. I'd like to see the linebackers that went after him in that draft and see if any of those guys are starting at certain places. I'm going to have to take a look at that. Rashad Penny will look like Tony Pollard behind that offensive line. Okay. This guy's talking about a guy who has 11 starts in 5 years and was a first-round draft choice. Solid take there, my friend. Solid take. 11 starts in 5 years. This is a good sign. To replace a guy with 1,300 yards and 11 touchdowns. Hey, I can't wait how this is going to be received. Hey, who's going to come to Philly and he's going to reinvent himself? Again, wishful thinking. Wishful thinking. 6.2 yards a carry and 11 starts in a first rounder, and he couldn't start on the team. But Jamie thinks he's great. Dude, he had a D career in Seattle. D. Okay? And I think D in Philly, for some fans, should stand for delusional. Until this year, Sills, Miles was the same way, always hurt. Okay. So you're good. At least he was your trash. So you're going to take a guy who bombed in Seattle and try to tell me he's going to be a superstar in Philly. He's never played a full season. He's never been productive. 6'2" a carry. His best year as a first-round draft choice was 700 yards. Average that out. What if it's a pump fake to throw teams off our trail on drafting a running back? I don't know. Well, there's no way they're drafting one in the first round now. Behind our old line, we can make anyone look great. Probably. 6 yards a carry, baby. 3 games. Yeah. 3 games. Hey, he'll have 6 yards of carry in 2 games. Congratulations. A great sign. Aisle 7 at the Howie Dollar Store. Oh, this is funny watching this. This is funny, man. Boy, are they in a pickle. Howie's 1-year money ball is now blowing up. It's blowing up. Now, I'll tell you something here. There's a part of me, though, that does this. Maybe, hey, could this be how the Eagles are thinking? Follow me here. I'm going to go on the side of Philly and their thinking. Don't tell me Kaiser White just went to the Cardinals. James, is it true? Okay. Here, follow me. You know, teams aren't that great in the NFC. Do we really have to have a superstar number 2 ranked defense when we have a really great offense? So wait a minute. Kaiser White to the Cardinals? Don't tell me that. Oh, hold on. Another starter gone. Hold on here now, man. I gotta, there's too many guys leaving. I can't wait to see the money. Holy shit. They gave that guy $5 million. They gave him $5.5 a year. Holy piss. The guy in Chicago got 7. So you now lost both your backers. You lost your best defensive lineman. And we're waiting on the corners. Or whether, no, Slay's there. You're waiting on CJ and Bradbury. There's a potential you're going to lose 1, 2, 3, 5 starters on defense. Nakobe Dean. Yeah, you better hope. He's ready to play. That being said, we have 2 free agent running backs. Scott and Sanders. Not done working, Sills. 6 yards a carry, baby. Wow. So wait a minute. So the new coordinator runs a 34. Do you understand? 34 you have to have. Hang on. Hang on. This guy's a believer in the 34 defense. Desai. That's 4 linebackers. You don't have one on the team with any kind of NFL experience. Here's Tone. The Eagles could very well lose 2 starting linebackers, 2 starting corners, 2 starting DTs, and 2 starting safeties in one season. That's unprecedented. That's right. I forgot about Epps. Holy shit. Oh, my God. Howie Vision, baby. You guys still think you're Super Bowl contenders? Really? And we know what people in Philly will say. Hey, Kaiser White. Well, dude, the guy behind him couldn't beat him out. It's funny when you guys say something about White. You know, he really wasn't playing that. Well, then why couldn't Nakobe beat him out? Steal of the draft. Why couldn't the steal of the draft beat him out? If that guy wasn't playing that great a ball, why couldn't he beat him out? And obviously, the brand new head football coach in Arizona, who happened to be his D coordinator, actually thought he played well to give him $5.5 million. Wow. Hey, so let me get this right. Tell me if I'm wrong here. Epps, White, Edwards, Hargrave are so far off your deep. All starters, by the way. So Sanders is the go. Samalo's the go. I haven't even touched the corner and the slot corner yet. I'm afraid of that. Dude, I am afraid of that one. And then you turn around and sign Rashad Penny. This can't – I don't believe what's going on in Philly. I got to adjust myself. No, not down there, but man, imagine having Davis and Dean as your starting D-line. Good luck. Oh, man. Why don't you believe? I believe in actualities, Mr. Snuff. Why believe? The NFL is not in a profession of believing or living in the land of unknown. It's a factual league. You get paid on being a player or you don't, or you get cut. This is not about fantasy football stuff that most of you do. You're either a player or you're not, or you're out. Andre Dillard, failure in Philly. Rashad Penny, failure in Seattle. Those guys ain't getting new deals. Those guys are moving on. Big Sills. KC had 10 tackles last year. 5 rookies started on their defense. You don't have Patrick Mahomes. Paul, you're making it sound like you have a quarterback that's going to do what Mahomes did. You ain't got that guy. Jalen Hurts is nothing like that guy in Kansas City. And nor is your offensive coordinator like that guy in Kansas City. You got nobody like that. You got Jalen Hurts. Okay. And that ain't going to be good enough. Cincinnati, you got to remember something about Cincinnati. Joe Burrow, drafted in the same draft class as Jalen's, got a better resume than Hurts. Been to 2 AFC championship games, the Super Bowl himself. So we're going to find out a little bit when Burrow gets paid. T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. I mean, what are you going to do with those guys? I think Joe Mixon will probably be knocked off that team real soon. Probably get cut. Just signed an $11 million, $14 million contract extension 2 years ago. He's going to get whacked. Just signed Rashad Penny, speed and bruiser, and has better vision than Miles Sanders. Robert. He's a dollar store sign. He was a failure in Seattle. Failure. Jesus, criminy. Look at people trying to make that guy Rashad Penny sound like somebody that Seattle coveted. They need a running game, and they let him go. Pete Carroll believes in running the ball. Whether it was in New England, the Jets, USC, he believes in running the ball. So he gets rid of a guy that he drafted in the first round. And it's only 5 years in the league. He's had enough of him. Oh, yeah, the line sucks, but he'll be great because he's never healthy. What about his health? In 5 years, he's got 11 starts. Oh, this is too funny. So here we go. Edwards, Hargrave, Epps, Andre Dillard, Kaiser White. What's next? Jesus, I'm afraid. Tona, I'm past the post. I'm afraid to take a timeout. Where's the Wizard of Novacare? Where is the Wizard of Novacare? Holy cow. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to look at the top teams in the NFC. Top 10 teams. Maybe there is a ray of hope here with this, because when I look at that list, let's do that. Hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messa & Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messa & Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech, we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Jeff D'Ambrosio doesn't need a special event to appreciate his customers. Jeff shows his appreciation to them every day of the year. Jeff makes sure to stock more new inventory than anyone and guarantees prices and payments that nobody can beat. There are so many reasons that thousands of customers know Jeff is the easy, friendly place to do business. More for their trades. No judgment zone for credit issues. The best, most reliable service department in the country. That's why I like Jeff, and I know you will too. Jeff will satisfy you every day. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, Owner Appreciation Event.
We all know that taxes are just part of life. It's true during our working years, but also in retirement. But what you might not know is up to 85% of your Social Security benefits might be taxed. Our team at Thrive Financial has helped retire thousands of people across the Delaware Valley by asking questions they never knew they needed to ask, including how their Social Security benefits might be taxed. It's time to be proactive on taxes. Get your Thrive Retirement Tax Playbook today.
Plan your day with confidence.
Keep the umbrellas on hand.
With Action News and AccuWeather.
Numerous tornadoes.
Your go-to team when severe weather strikes.
The water is still rising.
Keeping you prepared wherever you watch. Action News and AccuWeather. The team you trust.
Sales National Football Show. Another year of Cam Jurgens not playing, I see. Okay. I'd rather have Kelsey back, too. I would. You know, I'll tell you this. I think I'd rather be in the position that the Eagles are in, though, than what the stupid Jets are in. You're pursuing. Let me try to. No, I won't go there. He's not Jesse Smollett. Okay, he's not a drama king. Okay, is he Jesse Smollett? Okay, wait. I mean, let me think, man. Who is this guy? Aaron Rodgers, like, yeah, you know, I'd like to have a wish list of this, and that, and that. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, man. I'd rather be in the position where the Eagles are in. Okay? I really would. I'd rather be in the position of coming from success than never success. Joe Namath, Fireman Ed, and Jody McDowell. Eddie Jet, Eamon Carton. Just suffering football fans in New York with the Jets. They're never good. They're never good. And the most significant dude in the history of the Jets is a guy that hits himself in the head. I mean, how do you look at the Jets and go, let me take them serious? How in the world do you take the Jets serious when the only guy that you've seen in the last 35 years that has been anybody has been Fireman Ed? Oh my God. Anyway, if he gets out of the NFC, let's take a look at the top NFC teams. Okay? And again, the new news, like I said yesterday, there's one thing that you have to look at. Can a team absorb a loss of a really good player? Sure. But not 9. Not 9. You're going to lose 9 starters maybe. Think about that. Sayamalo, let's take a look at, I think it's maybe 7 starters. Sayamalo, Miles Sanders, Hargrave, White, Edwards. the two corners, Bradbury and 7 starters on your 22 is significant. It's significant. Those guys were all productive last year. Rashad Penny. I'm not going to say anything, but I saw people trying to make this thing look good, like I told you people in Philly will. He had 300 yards last year. He had 300 yards. Put that in your, I don't care how you want to slice this up. Hey, I can make anything look good. He's never healthy. It's a shitty sign, and it's a cheap sign. And it's also a sign that shows you what their value is at the running back position. They don't care. They don't care about linebackers. I'll tell you this. If I'm Washington, the Cowboys, and New York, I get the best tight ends I can, and I attack Philly. You don't have anybody to cover. Dude, there's not a guy on that football team that can cover Travis Kelce, Kittle, any of these the guy in Baltimore. Dude, a decent tight end will kill you. You don't have a linebacker. The two linebackers. Dude, what's crazy about the whole thing is that TJ Edwards and Kaiser White both struggled covering linebackers out of the backfield or tight ends and backs. And they got really substantial pay raises. White made something last year. He's now making 5.5. Edwards was making 1.2. He's making 7. That's why I'm going like this with Bradbury and Gardner Johnson. If those guys are getting that money and you paid that much for Hargrave and you're talking about a money position at corner, why in the world would they stay in Philadelphia unless Philadelphia overpays? And how are you going to overpay when you got a quarterback to pay? You can't. And get this, Gardner Johnson and Bradbury are not going to go for 1 or 2 year contracts. They're looking for 4-year deals. See, Howie can offer you a 2-year deal, but they don't want 2 years. Javon, you know why he offered Hargrave 3 years? Because he was going to absorb some of it, then get rid of his ass. Why? Because Jalen's contract would kick in 24. He's playing the numbers game. This guy is moving money around. He's not acquiring talent. Rashad Penny, I'll say this to you. He was great in college at San Diego State. So was Donnell Pumphrey. He's better. That's not fair. He's better. But he's never healthy. And he can't block in the passing game. That's why Carson beat him out up there. Do we have a number for the Penny sign? I guarantee you it's nothing. Okay? Guarantee you it was nothing. It was a nothing burger. He doesn't have the money. I mean, again, it's just, that's the precursor to let you know Sanders. Oh, I forgot Miles Sanders is gone. There's another guy gone. That's to get you guys ready for it. Get this. Look what Howie did. So he signed a guy who was a bomb in Seattle, number 1 pick. He's going to replace him, Miles Sanders, with that guy as Sanders goes out and takes his 1,311 touchdowns somewhere else and won't look that bad on paper. But everyone knows who, or anyone who knows and follows the NFL knows Penny has been a bust. And again, not saying that Sanders has been 100% healthy because he hasn't. This guy's less healthier. Dude, if they just gave Kaiser White $5.5 million, Miles Sanders is going to get over that. Dude, Tone's right. Penny might not even make it through training camp. Well, then again, wait a minute, Tone. The Eagle training camp? I don't think he has a problem making it through that. First time he ever had 1,000. Dude, hey, Montana, I would say this to you. I'm not paying $7 million for a one-year wonder, but you want to pay $50 million for one. So wait a minute. Let me get this right. Sanders had a good year. Great year. Pro Bowl year. 1,300 yards. You don't want to pay him because you're calling him a one-year wonder, but you want to pay Hurts off of 1 year. Reasonable thinking. And you want to see the difference between paying Miles Sanders and the difference between paying Jalen Hurts. That number you pay that quarterback affects the salary cap for the next 10 years. Best O-line, that's why. Oh, yeah. I don't care what kind of O-line you have. If a guy's never healthy, it won't matter. He's never healthy. Get this through your minds. Rashad Penny was a failure in Seattle. The same way Andre Dillard was a failure in Philly. They were 2 number 1 picks. They both went in the first round. They were failures. If you don't get to your second contract and you're a first rounder, you're a bust. Does that change? Oh, wait. Is that different in Philly? Is there a different measuring stick in Philly? Oh, that's right. You guys had to go through the Jalen Reagor deal. Rashad will put up some impressive I'm not going to talk about. I've talked more about Rashad Penny on my program today than I have in the last 5 years, and I'm done with it. He's a nothing burger. It's a dollar store sign. I'm done with it. Good luck to you. Hope he makes it through training camp. Let's look at something here that might play into the Eagles' favor here. Okay? I'm going to put the top 10 teams here on March 14th. And I'm going to put them in order. And if you're the Eagles, are you, having won the NFC, defending champions, by the way, the roster's already not the same. Watch this. This is how bad the NFC is. I got the Giants 10th. The Giants are terrible. You know what? And I just got through talking about Rashad Penny. The kid they got from the Raiders, Waller, fantastic ball player. Another guy, stay out of the tub, kid. He's a guy. The difference there, though, is this guy's productive. This guy's a great ball player. His injuries, that's been his issue. Rashad Penny, on the other hand, lack of production and never healthy. And 11 starts in 5 years, and they traded up to get him. I don't know. This kid Waller's hurt a lot, especially the last 3 years. Giants surrendered the 100th pick, I think it is. I think a third rounder. Okay? Significant. But I think both teams, we'll see who wins this. We'll see who wins this. I got the Commanders at 9. I think the Commanders, man, I think they're building something. O-line's getting better. Antonio Gibson, both receivers are good. The defense is getting better and better. By the way, I got a feeling that a kid Joey Porter Jr. is going to land in Washington. And you're going to have dudes like Hamilton at safety, Porter at corner. Your defensive line is one of the better, and you get Chase Young back. I'm going to tell you, man, I think Washington is a team to keep an eyeball on. No question. The quarterback position is an issue, and it's been an issue there for 10 years. They've never gotten that position right. Okay? They did win the division 2 years ago. We'll see. Sam Howell, I don't know. But look what I'm talking about. 10 is the Giants, 9 is the Commanders in the NFC. Really? Number 8, I got the Vikings. So the Vikings are one of these teams that put up incredible numbers. But when they get into an incredible moment or a big-time game, this thing folds like an armchair. They are never in a big game and winning it. They are never. Shit, the game in Buffalo, if it wasn't for Allen fumbling the ball, they don't beat them up there in Buffalo. Okay? So I got Giants, Commanders, and Vikings. Okay? Let me take a look at something. There's something on the move here about the cornerback, CJ. Hang on. Okay, not yet. Hey. Right. Okay. Correct. So not yet. Not yet. There's some movement going on with Gardner Johnson and Bradbury. Hey, by the way, I believe the kid from Notre Dame is with the Ravens. I misspoke. I think the kid's with the Ravens, if I'm not mistaken. The kid from Notre Dame. I know Washington wanted him last year, but he's with the Ravens. All right, number 7. I've got the Saints here at 7. So I got Giants at 10, Commanders at 9, Vikings at 8, Saints at 7. So Derek Carr, I mean, look at the NFC here. So if you're the Eagles, you're doing this. Man, we may take a step back. But does any of these teams, do they really? I mean, I got the Cowboys at 6. I got the Eagles at 5. You know who I think's got a better roster than the Eagles? Here are the teams that I think have better rosters than you. I think the Lions have a better roster than you. I think the Packers, now this is going to change if Rodgers goes to the Jets, is 3. I think the Seahawks have a better roster than you. And the 49ers are the preeminent team to beat in the NFC. However, every one of these teams are beatable. There's nobody on the, like, watch this. Can the Eagles win the NFC again with this group here? Potentially. But you also have changes at quarterback. Okay? Not one of these teams, not one of them, are a roster like we saw last year. 49ers have the best roster, and it's not close. But again, question marks at the top. Hey, 49ers, do me a favor. Niners all damn day. How many times has the Niners been to the NFC Championship game in the last 5 years? Is it 4 now? You know, for all the people saying that they don't get the quarterback right, they sure get the team right. They sure get the team right. It just shows you San Francisco not paying for a quarterback is consistently in that game. They're consistently in that game. Jamie, who's the quarterback? Does it matter? They get to the NFC title game with Brock Purdy. Did it matter? You can't look at an injury and go, well, they didn't get to the Super. The Eagles knocked the guy out. It's a football play. Yale can't get over the hump. I'll tell you what, though, Yale, at least they get to the hump. How many times have they been to the NFC Championship game in the last 5 years? 4? Penny tips the scales. Who? Someone would go like this to me, Sills, the Eagles signed Rashad Penny. And my answer is, who? Who? He sucks. Look at his career. Holy shit. Was he like the sick? What pick was he? Let's take a look at that. What pick was this guy? Rashad Penny. Hold on. Tone's got it. Last 5 years. San Francisco's been there 3 times. Okay. Let's see here. Rashad Penny. What was his pick? He was the 27th player taken in 18. He got 11 starts. This guy's a first-round draft choice, and he stunk. But he's a great Eagle acquisition. Boy, man, I'll tell you what, you guys get fed a bunch of shit. Dude, I think Gainwell and Boston should be the starters. Okay? I do. Philly 500 thinks he's a good pickup. We'll talk to him at 5:30, and I'll ask him why does he think that. He's never been healthy. He couldn't beat a 6th-rounder out in Seattle. The kid Carson beat him out. What was that kid Carson's name? What was that kid Carson's name? I want to show you something. What was his name? Chris Carson? What was his name? The guy in Seattle. I'm going to show you something. And what he did with Penny on the roster. I actually like the kid. I think it's Chris Carson. This is Chris Carson's numbers. When he was, okay, he got there almost the same time Rashad Penny got there. In 2018, he had 1,100 yards rushing and 9 touchdowns. In 2019, he had 1,200 yards rushing and 7 touchdowns. In 20, he had 681. His entire time, Chris Carson. His entire time. In Seattle, he outperformed him. Shit. And he's a 6th-rounder. But Rashad's a great pickup. Okay. Dude, the kid Carson's a good football player. I liked him, man. Penny was probably hurt. His entire 5 years he was. Correct. Yale, he was good in college, Yale. A couple 2,000-yard rushing season at San Diego State. I thought he was actually going to go up to Seattle and be a force up there and take on the role of Marshawn Lynch up there. Never panned out. Never panned out. Okay? Never panned out because he couldn't stay healthy. And he struggles in pass protection. So, again, I mean, here's what the Eagles have done. They're going to replace a guy who gets hurt in Miles Sanders with a guy who gets hurt more and less productive. Makes sense. It's a cheap move. It's a cheap move. And again, they're preparing. Dude, the Eagles are going to be a big player in the draft, in my opinion. This is why I think they have to move Darius Slay. So again, I showed you this list here. I don't really think the Eagles are looking at this going, we may take a step back talent-wise on our roster, but hasn't the NFC East taken – let's do this. Do you guys think the NFC as a conference is taking a step back more than the Eagles will take a step back roster-wise? That's the fundamental question, especially when you're paying a guy like Jalen Hurts. I think that's the overall philosophy and how you have to look at this. The Eagles may take a step back, but has the conference again in general. And will the NFC East get better? Here, the conference, in my opinion, I think is still taking steps backwards. Okay? But I do think the NFC East, outside of the Cowboys, is getting better. Now, watch this. If the Cowboys land Odell Beckham, does that improve their team? Yeah, probably. Health is an issue there as well. You still got Mike McCarthy, who's now the play caller. Jesus criminy. I mean, give yourself a chance to win. Right? Give yourself a chance to win. So ask yourself the question here. We may take a step back. And I'm talking if you're Philly. But what about the conference? Look, the names I mentioned to you with the quarterbacks. Look at these quarterbacks that are in the NFC. Hurts. Okay? Derek Carr. He just got fired in Las Vegas. Stafford comes off a horrible season in an injury-plagued year. Geno Smith. Dak. Jared Goff? I guess. Hey, you know what's funny about Jared Goff? Jared Goff got a team to a Super Bowl too. Same way your guy did. I thought Jared Goff was pretty good last year. Kirk Cousins? Kyler Murray when he's healthy? Justin Fields, who can't throw the football through a barn door that's open? This doesn't sound like a gauntlet of quarterbacks that you have to navigate through. You know, I mean, that's not like a who's who of quarterbacks. Just saying. Why didn't the Eagles go after Austin Eckler instead of Rashad Penny? You could have got Austin Eckler, but you went for Penny. Oh, Jamie says it. Money? Oh, so you got the cheaper dude at the dollar store. Oh. Austin Eckler is kind of like a cheap man's version of Christian McCaffrey, who Howie kind of kicked the tires on at the trading deadline. But you got Penny instead of kicking it up for Austin Eckler. Shows you what they think of the position again, like I said. Austin Eckler had permission to seek a trade, and the Eagles signed Rashad Penny. Oh. Oh, hey, wait a minute, Tone. Why couldn't you have at least gone after Eckler? Why not Austin Eckler? I mean, okay, I get the guy from Vegas. I think they put a franchise tag on Jacobs, okay? But now you go after Penny and not Eckler. Oh, okay. Hey, that makes sense. To your point, I believe Eckler's going for a sign and trade situation. could want more than Sanders. Eagles pinching pennies. No pun intended. Oh, no, they're skipping pennies. Pennies. I got pennies. Pennies from heaven. Rashad Pennies. Oh, my God. I'll bet you hey, because if I'm not mistaken, don't they have decisions to make on Mike Williams and Keenan Allen? Here's another football team, can't keep them all. And pay Justin Herbert? Okay, so, right? You got to pay Justin Herbert because he was in that draft. You got to pay Herbert, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. You can't pay Eckler. But you signed pennies from heaven. Yeah. Oof. Yale goes, Herbert's going to get big money, you think? Hey, if you're the Dolphins, you think you're doing this? We drafted Tua. You're ducking for cover. Niners go, Giants got Waller for pennies. Yeah, well, he's injured. But he's productive. Couple 1,000-yard seasons. You know, that's one of the very few guys I've ever seen transition from wide out to tight end like that. You know, because he's considered a tight end now. But when he first was with the Raiders, he was more of a receiver type guy. Okay? Whew. Why not Austin Eckler? No? Okay. No Austin Eckler, but Rashad Penny. Good night. This is too easy, man. Hey, Tone, this is too easy. Oh, man. All right. Good night, man. At least I'm not covering Fireman Ed. Okay? Honestly, at least I'm not covering a Fireman Ed in the stupid Jets. Who in their right mind covers the Jets? How could you possibly cover a team? The last time they were good was when a guy was on the moon. I mean, hey, Tone, the last time the Jets were good, we had a guy on the moon. I mean, yeah, goes drama. Okay, it's content, I guess. Okay, you're right. It's content. Okay, I'd probably have a lot of fun with it. I probably would, but man, dude, this is like the Young and the Restless in New York with the Jets. It's like Victor Newman. Victor Newman is offering Aaron Rodgers. You know what? Screw hosting Jeopardy. Aaron Rodgers should take the role of Victor Newman on Young and the Restless. He'd be great at it. Complete drama guy. He'd be spectacular. My grandmother loved Young and the Restless. That's how I know Victor Newman. He'd be great. Oh, man. The Jets. I don't know why. Every time I think of the Jets. Oh. Yeah, Victor Newman's a legend. Flash, you're right. Hey, I don't know who got more tail, Flash. Captain Kirk, James Bond, or Victor Newman. I don't know. You know, you can flip a coin and land on it and be okay with it, right? All right, right? Victor Newman, James Bond, Captain Kirk. See, Kirk had more variety when it came to tail because he was around the universe, right? And flying around everywhere. And the nebula. And, so I don't know, man. There was something about Kirk, man. Kirk had all the universal tail. And, Bond had kind of like coast-to-coast tail. And Victor Newman, man, he just was a rich guy. He just picked who he wanted, right? So I don't know, man. Victor by a mile? You're going with quality, aren't you, Neil? The Tone's going, who's Victor Newman? Tone's going like this. Sills, I'll stick with Denzel. I'm like, I will too. Oh, man. Marcus Epps. Yeah, man, he's long gone. Big money. All right. I'm going to look at some of the players that the Eagles could look at 10-31. And especially, and by the way, this is before Wednesday. We'll do this again on Thursday and Friday. Blankenship is better and younger than Epps. Again, wishful thinking, unknown. All of this, you go from certainty to unknown with every comment that you post. Every comment you post, you go to the land of unknown and cheaper. Yes, Matt. Unknown and cheaper. You better have Mahomes as a quarterback. You better. And you don't. Oh, Mike. Really, Michael? Oh, no. Here's a couple of the players that I think the Eagles could take. Remember something now. When you're looking at a draft, you have no idea who you're taking. You have an idea of the players in the pool because you can't be caught off guard if somebody jumps up in front of you. So the Eagles sitting at 10-31, do you think they know who they're taking? No, they don't. And nor does anybody else. Because you don't know what teams are going to do. Some panic, some don't. Some move down, some move up. Could the Eagles move down at 10? Maybe. Especially if a player they like and there's multiple players at a position of need, they may slide down to 14. They could. But nobody knows what they're going to do right now. You have no idea. You have no idea. Okay? So what you do is you put a pool of players together. You know, like, here's a great example. Tone, help me out on this. Davenport to the Vikings, that's a great sign. That's a great sign. Tone, help me out if I'm not mistaken here on this. Didn't Patrick Surtain, before he went to the Broncos, that was a target the Cowboys had. Then the Eagles and the Cowboys made a deal. They switched places, and Micah Parsons fell in their lap. And then they took Devontae. Isn't that how that worked? That the Broncos took Patrick Surtain from Alabama. They coveted a corner in Denver. When he came off the board, the Eagles and the Cowboys, they switched picks. And they got Micah Parsons, and the Eagles got Devontae Smith. Okay? Good. Okay. So the Cowboys, they had no intentions of taking Micah Parsons. That's what drafting is. You got to be prepared. Okay? You got to be prepared. Okay? So here's some of the players. I pray to Jesus that Jalen Carter falls to 10. He's the best player in the draft. He's cleared. I don't give a shit about anything. This guy's Jerome Brown. You could get cheaper. Putting him next to Jordan Davis might motivate Jordan. You would be young and talented. Okay? And just like Tone said, what is the one thing that the Eagle organization has always believed in? The trenches. O-line and D-line. They know how important it is to be elite in those respected positions. They're very good at it. Now, again, the Andre Dillard move was a failure. Now, to be fair to Dillard, okay, he might go to Tennessee and start and have a long career there. So Dillard not starting On the Eagle O-line, some would go like this. Sills, I don't care who you draft. You think any of these guys that are going to get drafted in the first round this year could start on that Eagle O-line this year? No, I don't. Even the kid from Northwestern, the kid Paris from Ohio State, those guys ain't starting. So to be fair to Dillard a little bit, maybe it's more I didn't like his attitude. But, I mean, to be, the kid from Georgia, Ohio State, and I think the kid from Northwestern, those guys ain't starting in Philly. And they're first-round picks. So you got to kind of be fair to Andre a little bit. Okay? Landon Dickerson's turning out to be a superstar player. Sayamalo was good, man. He's got hell of a resume. He's got a Super Bowl championship, 2 NFC titles, played under Jeff Stoutland. I mean, the whole 9 yards, man. He's got a massive resume, and he's 30. Okay? And that could probably be true about Dillard. Okay, you could probably say that Dillard never demonstrated any kind of. You know what? I'll take this. Time works. Let me throw this at you. I don't think it's that he never demonstrated enough hunger. I don't think he demonstrated enough flexibility. Does that make sense? Okay, he never demonstrated the flexibility that you needed to play in that O-line. You know what I'm saying? So that was my problem with him. So to be fair, are any of these guys going to start in the Philadelphia Eagle offensive line? No, they're not. I believe the player that they're going to take at this position is going to be Devon Witherspoon. I love the kid. When I watched him against Michigan, and I've been telling you guys, he's my favorite player in the draft. And when I watched him play, he reminds me of Bob Sanders. Bob Sanders was a little bit undersized, and Bob Sanders was a hitter. This guy's a hitter, and I love this kid. I believe if he's there at 10, I think they grab him because I think he's a game-changing type player, and I think he's a tone-setting type guy. Okay? I think he's a tone-setting guy. If Carter's there, though, I'm taking Carter over him. I don't know if Tyree Wilson from Texas Tech is going to be down at 10. Okay? I don't know he's going to be down there at that position. I think he's going to go sooner. He exhibited, according to Tracy Rocker, who was running the defensive line drills, to me, I just think I think Wilson showed all the intangibles on being a fantastic ball player there. I think he's off the board too. I do. I think he'll be off the board by the time 10 comes around. The more I watched him at the combines, the more I liked him. Keely Ringo, the kid from Georgia, the cornerback, backpedaled well, played in a great conference, played on a great scheme. These Georgia kids are fantastic that Kirby Smart has brought into his program. Man, they are littered on defense, and they are great on defense. They're not good. They're like old Miami Hurricane good. There is a lot of talented superstars on that football team. And this kid Ringo, I'll tell you, man, the more you watch him, and here you got to remember something too. The thing that you always have to remember when you're evaluating, try to match it up with the tape on what you saw at the combines. If a guy had, like, here was my problem with Jordan Davis. His tape never matched what he did at the combines. Does that make sense to you guys? His tape never matched his production at Georgia with what he did at the combines. Okay? It just never matched up. Yale goes, Ringo, at 30, I don't know who'll be down there. I don't know who'll be down there. Okay? Arthur keeps saying that Heisman. So he had 9 sacks in 43 games. That's not productive. That's not productive. He had 20 some odd tackles in 14 games. That's not productive. Christian Gonzalez, I'm hearing, is going sooner. Okay? He helped himself at the combines. A ton. Helped himself a ton at the combines. And I got Miles Murphy. Maybe a little high at 10. So again, trading down. Clemson, edge rusher. So Carter, if he's there at 10. Witherspoon, Wilson, Ringo, Gonzalez, Murphy. Those are your guys, in my opinion, at 10, especially with what we're seeing now. Isn't it crazy that the Eagles have no interest in linebackers at this position and they've lost 2? And they're counting on a guy who couldn't crack the starting lineup. You guys keep telling me Kaiser White wasn't good. Well, if Kaiser White wasn't good, what was Dean? Worse? You can't have it both ways. If Kaiser White was so bad, who just got $5.5 million, then why couldn't he beat him out? You couldn't beat a guy who's bad out. It's never a good place to go when you're evaluating a kid you drafted. Okay? And when you draft a guy at 13 and he gives you no sacks, and he's not very productive, and he was smoked in the Super Bowl, got a lot of work to do. Here's a guy at around 30. I don't believe Bijan Robinson is going to be down there. And now with this cheap move of Rashad Penny, I guarantee you, I can't wait to see the numbers. That's why they're not probably disclosed. Hey, Tone, if you see the numbers on Rashad Penny, I'd be interested. There's not a chance in hell they gave that guy $5 million because they had to give Miles Sanders it. There's not a chance. And if they did, it doesn't make sense. Keon White, edge rusher, Georgia Tech down here at 31. Another kid to keep an eye on. This guy, Emmanuel Forbes, Mississippi State, corner. Could be somebody to take a look at. Now, the big question is going to be, is Roseman going to move down off of 10? And will he move down from 10 and out of the first round for picks next year, or multiple picks in the second and third round this year? What will he do? Especially with all the players that are leaving for free agency. How many picks do the Eagles have this year? What is it? Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 2 7s. Do they have 6 picks this year? How many picks do the Eagles need? Or how many picks do they have this year? Is it 6? I know it's 2 1s. I got it. Okay. It's 6. See, I think they need about 10. I think they need about 10 picks this year. Especially if – and again, what I would do is this. Tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern time, right in the heart of our show, free agency is going to fall. Tomorrow is going to be a huge day. I might not even have a guest tomorrow. Okay, because free agency is going to be moving rapidly. Right, Tone? Tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern time, it's going to fall during our show. So I'm probably not going to have a guest tomorrow. So they got 6 picks. If they lose one of the corners, let's say they lose one of them, Gardner Johnson, slot corner, safety, whatever, and Bradbury. Let's just say they lose one of them and they're not able to keep both of those two dudes, which they're not going to be able to. You're not going to go 14-5 for CJ and then turn around and pay 17 for Bradbury. You're not. So you're going to lose one of them. Both LBs, Javon Hargrave, Epps. I'm going to say Bradbury, and you're going to keep CJ. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 starters. They're not bringing back Fletcher Cox. So they're going to lose both tackles. Okay? And by the way, mind you, I'm saying that they're going to keep CJ, but I'm 50-50 on that. So on your defensive side of the football, not counting Sayamalo and Miles Sanders gone, you got 6 of your 11 starters gone. And you're going to be replacing them with lesser players and rookies. And you only have 6. Here's the situation. You're losing 6 starters. You have 6 draft choices. Granted, 2 ones. Huge. And you got a $50 million price tag you got to pay. How are you maneuvering through this? Well, simple. There's certain team directions you have to take here. And here's the directions. Well, you got to go and almost duplicate what Kansas City's doing. Got to get rid of all your really good players that are making big money. I'm going to make a point to you here. You're not going to be able to keep 2 tackles making $18 million a year. No team in the league has that except Philadelphia. Do you know that? You got 2 players, how many teams have 3 players with over $15 million in base salary and they're 5 guys? Name me one. Name me one football team that has 3 players. 3 players that make $15 or more million in their O-line. There isn't a team. There's not a team that has 3 offensive linemen making north of $15 million. Kelsey's making 15 now. Mulata's making 15, and Lane makes 18. You're not keeping all 3 of them. Now, Kelsey's on a 1-year deal. Okay. Jalen's still on his rookie season. So you're going to be able to navigate that this year because Kelsey's going to come off the books. $15 million is going to come off the books next year. But this is what you're facing when you pay Jalen. You got an entire side of the ball you have to retool with a brand new coordinator who believes in a 34 and you don't have a linebacker to save your life. And on the other hand, you have a $25 million wideout, 3 $15 million offensive linemen, and you're going to pay a $50 million quarterback? How? Where? You're never going to be the same. Unless you hit on your draft picks. Hassan Reddick couldn't cover a cold. He was terrible in pass coverage. He's terrible in pass coverage. Terrible. Paul, you do not draft well. Andre Dillard is another example of it. $50 million quarterback. 3 players north of $15 million in salary in your old line. A $25 million wideout. And you got a whole side of the ball to retool. Only way you do it is cheaper and younger. Rashad Penny is the greatest example of that. Paul, right. They got to hit on their draft picks. More so. And they got to get more production out of them. They got no production out of their draft choices last year. None. Zero. And if Dean was so good, why wasn't he an impact on special teams? It was one of the worst units in the league. Philly 500, 5:30 Eastern. We're going to reset. I think the quarterbacks that are going to go in the draft could have an impact on where some of these guys land at 10 and 31. I want to hit on that. Big week in the NFL. Big week. I told you, this is a huge week for Howie Roseman. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messon Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messon Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer three major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Jeff D'Ambrosio doesn't need a special event to appreciate his customers. Jeff shows his appreciation to them every day of the year. Jeff makes sure to stock more new inventory than anyone and guarantees prices and payments that nobody can beat. There are so many reasons that thousands of customers know Jeff is the easy, friendly place to do business. More for their trades, no judgment zone for credit issues, the best, most reliable service department in the country. That's why I like Jeff, and I know you will too. Jeff will satisfy you every day. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, Owner Appreciation Event.
We all know that taxes are just part of life. It's true during our working years, but also in retirement. But what you might not know is up to 85% of your Social Security benefits might be taxed. Our team at Thrive Financial has helped retire thousands of people across the Delaware Valley by asking questions they never knew they needed to ask, including how their Social Security benefits might be taxed. It's time to be proactive on taxes. Get your Thrive Retirement Tax Playbook today.
Plan your day with confidence.
Keep the umbrellas on hand.
With Action News and AccuWeather.
Numerous tornadoes.
Your go-to team when severe weather strikes.
The water is still rising.
Keeping you prepared wherever you watch. Action News and AccuWeather, the team you trust.
National Football Show. Appreciate you coming aboard. Miles Sanders tweeted out, thank you, Philly, from the bottom of my heart. He's gone. Another starter gone. So, 1,300 yards and 11 touchdowns out of your offensive huddle. Okay? Your quarterback is going to have to carry the mail more. Penny is a worse replacement. That's not a replacement. This is by a committee thing. Guarantee you the numbers suck. There's no numbers behind him. There's no consistency. There's nothing but injury consistency behind him. The one thing that is consistent about Rashad Penny is that he's not consistent. That's a big loss in production. Now, again, here's the two things that I'll agree with people on. Here's what I'll agree on. Okay? Am I going to pay Miles Sanders $5-6 million on one season? No. Because I don't value that position that much. That's their philosophy. Their linebacking philosophy is also rearing its head now. Colts trade Stephon Gilmore to the Cowboys for a 5th rounder. I think in 2019, Stephon Gilmore was the NFL Defensive Player of the Year. 20, 21, 22. 20. That's a little long in the tooth for me. Okay? That's a little long in the tooth for me. Gilmore's a really good ball player. I'd like to know what the numbers are annually that they're paying him. And this is going to also tell me a little bit more about Bradbury. So, Tone, if we could find a little bit more out about what the Cowboys have given Stephon Gilmore, because I think Gilmore's up there in age, like around 32, 33. And that'll tell us a little bit more about Bradbury and what he's 32. What is Bradbury, 28? I'd like to know what the numbers, what the price of that is, because that is going to be an indication of what James Bradbury is going to get on the open market, in my opinion. Okay? It's not the fact that when you – and see, the kid Diggs on the other side, I'm not a big fan of his. I think he's a hit-and-miss guy. I don't think he's very structurally sound as a player. I think you could make big plays on him. I do. He's 30. I want to see what the numbers are. Okay? I want to see what the numbers are on Stephon Gilmore and what he gets, because that number will tell me where he's going to be in the conversation, because if the Cowboys were talking to Stephon Gilmore and then landing him, there's no question they had interest in James Bradbury. Okay? There's no doubt about it. So if Bradbury wasn't the number one guy on the list, remember the Cowboys also have to stay inside their cap. They're in holy hell, cap hell. I don't know how they've cleared it. Okay? By the way, Philly 500 will join us at 5:30 Eastern time. Gilmore, base salary of $796 in 2023 with an $11.9 million cap hit. He's 32, 4 years removed from his Defensive Player of the Year, so he's roughly making $8 million a year. I got to think Bradbury. If they cut him, it's a $2 million dead cap hit. Bradbury's got to be in that $14 million range. He's got to be younger, had a better season. He's got to be in that range. He's 30. It kind of brings – see, I thought he was going to be in that $16 million, but he's not. So he's probably going to be between 12 and 15 million. Somewhere in there, I think Bradbury is going to be between 12 and 15. Okay, I think he's going to be in that area. I think CJ is going to be at the high end of the safety position at 14.4. Boston Scott, 1 year, $2 million. That's a great sign. That's a great sign. Boston Scott, 1 year, $2 million. That's a great sign. Solid, knows the offense. Jalen likes him. Can play in the system there. They'll do the thing by committee. That's a good sign. It's a cheap sign, but it's a good sign. It's not a high-end sign. How about this? It's a comfort sign. Okay? If I were to rank them A, B, C, D, what here? Rashad Penny is a I don't know, D, C, whatever you want to go. I don't know what that makes sense to me. The guy's never healthy ever, and he was a bomb in Seattle. This Scott deal, I like. People like him. He's okay. I think it's a good sign. He's not spectacular. It's a good sign. The offense likes him. The Eagles like him. I think it's good, man. Martell says Penny's a strong runner. How's he a strong runner when he's never had a healthy season? And he had 300 yards last year. How's he a strong runner? He can't block. He could never beat Chris Carson out in Seattle, ever. Chris Carson had a couple 1,000-yard years while he was there. And he was the 27th player taken. And Carter was a 6th rounder. He could never beat a 6th rounder out. But he's a good sign for the Eagles. How is that possible? How do you even look at that and go, that's a good sign? Come on, man. Eagles still have Trey Sermon on the roster, could complete with Penny as the bruising back. Sermon is young, healthy. Again, in the land of unknown. That's the land of unknown again. Okay. Hey, Tone, watch this. Sounds good. Right? That's all that is. Sounds good, I guess. There's no value in a guy who's always hurt. What's the value? This guy's not LeGarrette Blount. Don't get that confused. He's not even a die. No, I'm with you. I'd rather go Scott and Gainwell. I'd rather go. I'm okay with Scott Gainwell. Get a kid in the draft. Instead, you get a broken down jalopy, a bomb failure first rounder in Seattle. Okay, but he'll change his ways in Philly when he couldn't be on the field in any way whatsoever. Hey, I don't know, too. Tone, whatever, are like, to me, I don't get the sign. I just don't. Here, let's do this. Let's reset here with all the players that the Eagles now have lost. Epps. I shitted on AJ when we signed him. Lie. I did say this. He's never been productive in his entire career in Tennessee. That's a fact. I did say that. He never had more than 68 catches and 1,100 yards in his entire time there. Ever. I mean, I don't think he had more than 63 catches at Tennessee. And it was Henry. That's a fact. Look his numbers up. It was Henry. Wasn't AJ. AJ was a very small factor in the production of the Tennessee Titans. He never had exceptional numbers. He had marginal numbers. They were marginal numbers in Tennessee. I never said the player was marginal. I said his production was. Look it up. That's not true. Okay? This year, he was totally productive. Over 90 catches, 1,500 yards. That's an exceptional season. When you make $25 million, that's the kind of year. Watch this. Hey, welcome to the group. If he didn't have the year he had this year, that $20 million a year deal is a bust deal. You want me to give credit for somebody that was signed to do that? Stand in line. Stand in line. Okay? Stand in line. So, you lose a safety, which was already a critical position. You're going to lose a corner. You lost both your linebackers. You're going to lose both your defensive tackles. You just lost your 1,300-yard back, and you signed a guy, and you bring back Scott, which is great. That move I like. See, with this, Yale, you're missing it, though. Yale goes, Epps is replaceable. Of course he is. But not 7 replacements on an 11-man defense. You're missing that. Yale. 2 linebackers, a safety, a corner, and 2 DTs. It's not replaceable. On a team that finished second in defense last year, that is not replaceable. It's the collection of players. See, Eagles goes like this. Eagles for life goes, TJ was ass. Okay. When you put TJ Edwards in your defense a year ago, it changed your whole concept. You were giving up gaping holes. When you see again, the collection of guys you're missing. Eagle goes like this. TJ can't cover. When is the last time you drafted a linebacker that was decent and productive? When's the last time you drafted a linebacker that was decent and could cover and hit? Name him. Who? Yeah, that's right. Tone's right. Okay? Tone's right. You guys loved TJ last year. Or wait a minute. You loved TJ last Friday. Now you hate him? Probably down the same line as I always knew Jalen Hurts would be a franchise quarterback. I think that's in that conversation too, Tone. You know what I mean, Tone? You know, when Jalen was drafted, we drafted him in the second round. Are you freaking kidding me? We drafted that bum. Well, I never said that. Oh, okay, Skip. Yeah. Nakobe Dean, I was only waiting for someone to throw Nakobe. Kobe's not a good linebacker. He hasn't proven it yet. He's in the land of misfit toys. Come on, dog. When's the last time you drafted a linebacker that had impact? I'll wait. Tone, seriously. When's the last time they drafted a linebacker that had impact? Can one off the top of your head? Jordan Hicks? Tone goes like this, Sills, you know, I'll do a lot for you, dude. That's too much work. That's too much work. Hey, Tone, do me a favor, man. Okay? I want you to read the box here, man. I gotta type something for you. Please put up my take on Penny on Twitter. Thank you. Okay? Trust me. Thank you, brother. I love Tone. Tone's going to be and becoming a hell of a broadcaster and producer. You keep it up, Tone. Anything you need from me, brother, I'm here for you. Jeremiah Trotter. Ugh. Sills, what do you do at linebacker right now? Jesse, good. Can I tell you what I think the NFC East is going to start doing? I think the NFC East is going to start bringing in tight ends. I think they're going to start bringing in tight ends. Okay? To go after the Eagles. Eagles have struggled with tight ends for 2 years. And here's the problem that you have now with your new coordinator. Your new coordinator is a fan of the 34. So Howie hired a guy who's a fan of the 34, who the organization doesn't believe in spending a lot of equity in linebackers. And that's from the mouth of John McMullen. Is that right? So the new coordinator, Desai, is a big believer in a 34, correct? He's hired by an organization. And hey, for the record, I've said this and I'll stick to it. And I'll stick to it. Okay? I'll stick to it. They make great hires. They have done a really great job when it comes to assistant coaches. And for that matter, head coaches. They have done a really good job. Not going to get away from that. Absolutely, they do a good job. I mean, what's crazy, think about it. The last 3 head football coaches in Philadelphia all have winning records, including Chip. So it's not like we don't see success there. You've got coordinators who are now head football coaches across the NFL. They make great hires. But this one here, hey, Brian, even Chip, though, he had a winning record in Philly. He had a winning record. Okay, whatever. It didn't work. Still won. Why you be getting under skin like that? Not sure what you're talking about there, Marshall. Under what skin? Why is it getting under people's skin when you tell the truth to people? See, that's always the true sense of what controversial is. Controversial is not making bullshit up to get under people's skin. You see, Marshall, most people don't like the truth. They'd rather be lied to. Always remember that. Most people in life would rather be lied to than having the truth spoken to them, because it's easier to handle. Okay? So again, there's 2 parts of what's going on before tomorrow at 4 o'clock Eastern time. And it drops during our show, which is free agency. Officially, you'll start seeing these official deals. As of today, 2 more starters have been lost. Miles Sanders has given his Twitter goodbye to the city of Philadelphia. Kaiser White's now gone. So in the last 24 hours, you've lost a backup, Andre Dillard. That's your depth. Again, my problem with Dillard is not being able to be flexible. But let's put this out there. That's a bust by Howie Roseman. Andre Dillard was a bust. Epps, both linebackers, White and TJ, and you lost Hargrave. And by the way, for the record, I'll say before I bring Philly 500 on, I'm not paying $22 million for Javon Hargrave. Okay? You can always withstand a loss on your team. But 9 starters, maybe 7 to 9 starters, man, that's a lot. Let's bring in Philly 500. You know, usually I have like a list of questions for people. Look at this. I don't have any. I just want to hear you.
That's because I'm a beautiful man. I leave you speechless. What do you mean?
Okay, give me your sense of what you've watched and listened to over the last 48 hours.
My feeling is that everything that has happened is over the last 48 hours has been expected. This is exactly what we knew was going to happen at the end of the year. We all knew this. It's not a surprise at all. So to me, everything is kind of going just as I thought. I thought it would be, you lose a bunch of guys, a lot of people would start to panic. There would be a lot of fighting amongst Eagle fans, and people would rush to judge the whole roster and everything that's going on in a short period of time before we actually know what's going to happen. That's kind of what I thought was going to happen.
Okay, here, and let me kind of ping pong this back to you then. Okay, fair enough. But when people were talking dynasty and you have 18 free agents all built on 1-year deals, and you got to pay the $50 million quarterback tag that's out there, the only thing you can do is go cheaper. And Rashad Penny is a great example of that. Instead of going and calling the agent for Austin Eckler, you go after a guy who was a complete bust in Seattle. He couldn't even beat out Chris Carson. He's never been healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, so you're kind of shopping at the dollar store and getting ready for the draft. So, Philly, I don't know if you're going to have the same – you're not going to be in the same position that you were in a year ago with that roster.
You can't construct the roster the same way you constructed it last year because you're not going to have the pieces. You're not going to lose Hargrave and just replace them and then lose Bradbury and replace them. It was never going to work that way. The Eagles are going to have to, and we talked about this a few weeks ago, they're going to have to approach this whole offseason. If they really want to be competitive next year, they're going to have to approach how they construct this roster differently than they approached it last year.
So do you think do you think they're willing to take a step back this year so that they can build for the next 5?
I think that is a possibility. That could be one of the things that they're going to do. I think it's one of two things. I think it's that, or they're going to do the other thing that I've suggested that I think they should do is focus on building your defense over the course of the next 2 years through the draft, and then shore up and make sure your offense, which is still the strong point of your team, make them better next year so that they can go out, score points, win you games by scoring in a weak NFC conference with no Aaron Rodgers, with no Tom Brady. So I think it's one of those two things. Now, I will say this, the Rashad Penny signing, if they signed him as their primary back, as their main back to bring in, it's a problem. If they're signing him as a depth piece to go along with, I don't know, maybe taking a running back in the one of the first 2 rounds or something like that we don't see coming, then I'm okay with it. But we don't know yet.
Looks like there's news right now that Bradbury has re-signed with the Eagles here.
That's huge.
It's huge. Okay. So now you have again, what does that mean towards CJ though? Okay. I mean, are you really going to do this? I want to know, hey, Tone, let's get the money on Bradbury, because that means this. You have I can't believe Slay would be left. You're going to pay 2 corners north of $15 million? No way.
They brought Bradbury back? For real?
That's what I'm seeing here.
Dancing. Let's go.
So what do you do? So that means CJ's out?
No, I mean, my hope is that that it's a 2 thing. They're going to bring both back. I hope they bring them both back, but I don't know. I don't know what CJ. I just thought that when they let Marsha Epps, I rather say, when they let Marsha Epps out the door, to me that made me feel like there's a chance with CJ coming back. Now
$38 million over 3 with incentives, a total of 44. 20 is guaranteed. 20 million is fully guaranteed. So we're looking at somewhere between. You're looking at $13 million a year. There's not a chance in hell Slay's still on this team.
So they're going to trade. They'll probably trade Slay post June 1st.
Yeah,
designation is probably what they'll do.
Yeah.
But I mean, I actually think that bringing Bradbury is big, and if you get CJ Gardner-Johnson back, I think you got something. I think you got.
And then you draft Devon Witherspoon the kid from Illinois, and you put him there, or Porter,
or Jalen Carter, if he could fall. But I would take a defensive player at 10, and then at 30, just my personal opinion, I'm taking that 30th pick. I'm taking a second-round pick next year, and I'm finding a way to get up and get Bijan Robinson. But
if he hits all his incentives, it's 14.6 a year. Get this. So your other corner's making 18.
Mm-hmm.
That's $32 million in your two corners. So is CJ in the room, or is Slay gone? Remember, you have to deal with a cap here.
If I have to guess, I'm going to say that Slay's gone, and we're going to see CJ the next shoe to drop. That would be my guess, because in my opinion, when they let Marsha Epps out the door, you left yourself with no safeties. So I have to think that they want to bring CJ back. Now, if you bring CJ back and Bradbury back, and then maybe you move Slay, that could be something that they do. You know,
but I'd rather have Bradbury than Slay.
Me too. I would too.
Slay's 32, and I said it weeks ago. They should deal him.
Yeah.
Because if you deal him, then you might be in the room. Say, Philly, supposedly because of Drew Rosenhaus. I talked to Drew Rosenhaus and Robert Bailey, who represent Darius Slay.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with the whole restructuring of his contract is it makes it easier for the Eagles to move him. That's why he hasn't redone his deal.
Okay.
And supposedly the Falcons have contacted the Eagles on potentially getting a deal done so that they can get draft choices. However, Atlanta wants a percentage of the Eagles to pay that $18 million.
Now, let's say if the Eagles paid a percentage of that $18 million, would that have to go under the cap, or could that be?
Yeah, well, it would be a restructure before they dealt him. It'd be a restructure because right now he's $26 million against the cap on his current deal. Okay, so I mean, maybe what they're doing here is trying to create room here by moving Slay to keep CJ, and the targets the entire time have been Gardner Johnson. And like I said, if you're able to keep both Gardner Johnson and Bradbury and then draft, you've got something in the secondary. Still, your safety position has got a lot to be desired still in your linebacking core. It's got issues now.
Yeah.
Boy, I'll tell you what, this is a big week for Howie. Don't you agree that this week here, man? I mean,
yeah,
this guy's got to be a superstar.
Yeah, this is a big week, and we're gonna see what he does here with CJ, because I have a feeling they want CJ Gardner Johnson back, and if it was between him and Bradbury signed, then we should see something happen with CJ soon. My guess is they're gonna bring CJ Gardner Johnson back. I'm gonna predict it right now. I think he comes back with Bradbury, and then we'll see what happens with Darius Slay. But I think they want him back. And I think that's huge, man. If you could get them guys back, and then let's say you're in a situation, I don't know, let's say Jalen Carter drops.
I pray he's there.
Then my gosh, we're talking again.
I'm taking him at 10, and I said that earlier today. I would clearly not think if he's cleared, Philly.
Yeah,
all that. I have no problem taking him at 10.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. But I, the only thing I'm a little interested in is the running back situation. Well, I want to see what happens to CJ, but I don't believe they're finished at the running back spot either. I believe they're setting up to draft a guy early. Maybe within the first 2 rounds or something like that.
Do you think they get the deal done before the 15th? No, that's tomorrow. They're not going to get Jalen done tomorrow. Do you think they get it done before the draft?
Yeah, I think I'll say before the draft, but not tomorrow. I think before the draft. But I think they're going to structure I think we'll see his contract done in a way that it doesn't kill us this year in the cap. Like it doesn't kick in till the following year. They'll structure it. Howie's pretty good at that. That's one of the things he does good. So we'll see.
So how do you think Howie's done so far in free agency?
Well, I think the Bradbury thing is big.
It is,
right. Like if you're talking to me before Bradbury, I would say somewhere around, I don't know, no grade at all. I'll say
How
right
about
now.
this? Do you agree that, like you said, because when you first came on here, you said something that it's kind of going down the line of how you have covered him, and his philosophy is that, well, they felt that the two linebackers were expendable.
Yeah.
And they felt the running back was expendable.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what's played out here a little bit, right?
And we knew Hargrave was not going to stay with $20 million.
No, but the Eagles were not going to pay $22 million or $20 million for that guy.
Right. The way I see it is, if you really look at it, if the Bradbury thing, that kind of changes how I feel about how things are going. And it gives me some hope that they're going to find some way to work in C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Now, I'm not so sure Slay's staying, though. That's going to be an interesting question. And I really think they're going to take a running back early in the draft. I think they take a defensive player at 10. I think that second pick's a running back. So we'll see.
Here's one thing that I was shocked on, though, with the moves. You say that everything was expected. Philly, what I didn't expect is the money. Yeah. I mean, TJ Edwards got $7 million a year.
I know.
The guy, Kaiser White, just got $5.5 million.
Yeah, I know. Expensive, and that's how they treat their linebackers, though. As long as I can remember, well, for a long time, they don't pay linebackers. They're not going to pay them. So I could see the Eagles doing something like bringing in Bobby Wagner on a 1-year deal, something like that, to get through the year with Jacoby Dean, something like that. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. There's obviously, with the Bradbury signing, I think there's obviously other shoes that are getting ready to drop. Howie's maneuvering, he's wheeling and dealing, he's zigging and zagging, baby. It's Howie Vision.
Wait a minute.
It's Howie Vision. Sills is living in it.
Hold on for a second here, Howie Vision. Let me. So what'd you make of the Andre Dillard? What was Andre Dillard's career in Philly?
Stunk.
That's Howie Vision.
Yeah. How there's no.
Oh, I see.
Howie Vision.
There's a dark side of Howie Vision and a bright side of Howie Vision.
It does not. When I started saying Howie Vision, that was not initially a good thing. It became good this year. It could be bad. It could be good. It's just his world, though. We're just living in his world,
Hey, Tone just said Howie Vision isn't good or evil.
It's not.
Now, I got one last question for you here.
Yeah.
The Eagles, we talk about potentially taking some type of step back because of the loss of all this talent. Bradbury's a great deal, no question.
It also indicates something else to me. It indicates that they're not taking a step back for the next few years. If you
don't think losing both your defensive tackles and your linebackers, and maybe C.J. Gardner and 1,300 yards rushing and a starting offensive guard is going to affect the team?
No, I think it affects the team. But what I'm saying is, I don't think they're trying to take a step back.
Oh, no.
They're trying to figure it out. Yeah,
I think it's the NFL's game.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And Philly, but here's the thing. If the Eagles take maybe a small step back in roster, don't you agree that the NFC is still taking bigger losses? Because if you lose Aaron Rodgers to the Packers, I mean, I wrote these quarterbacks down. Watch this. Here's the quarterbacks that are going to be in the NFC. I mean, Jared, here are the quarterbacks. I mean, it's a list of like nobodies. Carr, Stafford, Geno Smith, Dak, Goff, Cousins, Fields. The Eagles may take a step back, but the NFC is taking a bigger step back.
Right, exactly. Right. That's why if they're smart about how they construct this roster, they got an idea, they got a plan, and they do it right, they still can go and compete next year. I truly believe that. So I think the Bradbury, it's a big move. The question is what happens with CJ now, because I would rather have him back more than anybody because of his age.
So who has a better roster right now, Niners or the Eagles?
Niners. Except for the quarterback position. I don't think they have a better quarterback position than the Eagles.
This is big news. I agree. I think the Bradbury deal is a big thing. And I know you'll be talking it on your show, by the way. Very successful. Just type in Philly 500, and I'm sure he's going to be smoking on all of this here because I'm with him here. I'm going to give my opinion on Bradbury signing too, because I'm in agreement with you. I think this is a big move for them. So we're going to hit on that next. Hey, Philly, thank you, brother, for doing this, man. You're always great.
Appreciate it. Take care.
You got it. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. We're going to talk about that Bradbury signing. We'll do it next. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messon Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messon Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer three major services. The first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Jeff D'Ambrosio doesn't need a special event to appreciate his customers. Jeff shows his appreciation to them every day of the year. Jeff makes sure to stock more new inventory than anyone and guarantees prices and payments that nobody can beat. There are so many reasons that thousands of customers know Jeff is the easy, friendly place to do business. More for their trades. No judgment zone for credit issues. The best, most reliable service department in the country. That's why I like Jeff, and I know you will too. Jeff will satisfy you every day. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, Owner Appreciation Event.
We all know that taxes are just part of life. It's true during our working years, but also in retirement. But what you might not know is up to 85% of your Social Security benefits might be taxed. Our team at Thrive Financial has helped retire thousands of people across the Delaware Valley by asking questions they never knew they needed to ask, including how their Social Security benefits might be taxed. It's time to be proactive on taxes. Get your Thrive Retirement Tax Playbook today.
Plan your day with confidence.
Keep the umbrellas on hand.
With Action News and AccuWeather.
Numerous tornadoes.
Your go-to team when severe weather strikes.
The water is still rising.
Keeping you prepared wherever you watch. Action News and AccuWeather, the team you trust.
Big Silk National Football Show, and I got to tell you, what a absolutely awesome week this is going to be and continues to be. James Bradbury signing a 3-year contract, $38 million, $20 million fully guaranteed, $6 million in incentives, making the package a $44 million deal. If he nails all of his incentives, he will land on $14.6 million. What does this mean, in my opinion, and the impact that it has? I think you have to look at the totality of what the defense and the secondary is going to look like before we could sit here and go, how is the team going to look? By the macro, okay, that's what I'm talking about. Micro, it's a great sign. You're bringing back a player who outplayed Darius Slay. I thought Slay was great for his first 7 games. And when he got into a position to play against Justin Jefferson, I thought he crushed him. All that being said, from that game on, I thought he was okay. I thought Darius Slay was okay. I think they are in the process of putting together a deal to move him. You are not going to have two $15 million cornerbacks. Nobody in the league has it, and they're not going to do it in Philly. They're not going to do it. Okay? And by the way, if you lose Gardner Johnson, where are you? So both safeties go, both linebackers go, both your DTs, and you're going to trade a corner. Still has to play out yet. Okay? Still has to play out. I believe that, look, you've got 6 draft choices right now. Party time, still too many losses. It's a good sign. It is. To me, you're still in the barrel with everyone else except the 49ers. 49ers still with an exceptional and exceptionally skilled roster and a better roster than you by far. There's more superstars on that team than any place in the league. Facts. The Gilmore move, 32. Okay, Dallas gets him. I mean, look, watch this. Today, the Eagles beat the Cowboys. The Cowboys signed Stephon Gilmore, who's long in the tooth at 32. In my opinion, his best days are on his back 9. Okay? I mean, he's on the back 9, his front 9. Those were his best days. Those were his best days. Okay? Look, guy goes like this. Nah, the 49ers lost some guys. You lost a ton of guys. You still lost 5 starters on defense. Come on now. And by the way, for the record, dude, don't tell me if Lamar Jackson just went to Washington, on what people are telling me, if Lamar Jackson just went to Washington, Washington's the favorite to win the NFC East. Don't say that. Don't say that. If Washington just got Lamar Jackson, the Washington Commanders are the team to beat in the East. Oh, a suggestion. Hey, he would change. You know what, though? Yeah, guess who's been talking about that? Adam Schefter's been talking about that, saying that they've inquired about him. Okay? They've inquired about him. Boy, can you imagine if that would end up happening and how great the NFC East would look again? If you put that guy in the building. Okay, that would be awesome to watch. Washington with Lamar and Philly with Jalen, Dak. I mean, the East would be back to being the old days. Hey, can you do me a favor, Tone? See if any of the numbers were released on the Rashad Penny deal. I'd like to see what and how many years they gave him. No. Eagle fan goes like this. Look at Sileo getting excited. Yeah, because you know why? It would make for great football every weekend. I root for great football, dude, not shitty football. Still no details. That's because it's a nothing burger deal. 1 year at $3 million? Oh, yeah. Well, they paid because last year Miles Sanders made 2.5. So they basically just put Rashad in there, same salary. That's what they think of the position. So if they gave Penny 1 year, $3 million, it's pretty much the same thing. That's what they think of Miles. They gave Penny Miles' deal only for a year. It's a nothing burger deal. But again, the Bradbury deal, does that change my opinion on them being a playoff? No. Both linebackers gone. Both tackles are going to be gone. Your safeties. It depends. You're not keeping Johnson, Slay, and Gardner Johnson and Bradbury. You're not. You're not. You're just not. Okay? And now there's not a chance in hell that they're going to draft Bijan Robinson. They're not going to draft a linebacker in the first 3 rounds. They will not, because they don't do that. I did say Bradbury was gone. I did. They had to pay him almost an average of $14 million to keep him. So you're going to pay $14 million as an average to keep CJ too? How? Good luck. I want to see it. But you're not going to keep Slay. Slay will be dealt. And you'll be one corner again. We'll see. This is so hey, Tone, this is like chess. Yeah. Yeah, baby. Dean has to step up. Who? I'd rather have Bradbury than Slay. We've been saying trade Slay since the end of the season. Go back. We've been saying it since the end of the season. Trade that guy. Trade him now while you can. But see, he's not going to restructure his contract for you to trade him to Houston. That's not what he's going to do. Slay tweeted about Gilmore, but not Bradbury. Ooh. I got it. You know what I'm going to do? Hold on. Let me text Drew Rosenhaus. Listening to offers. No, Drew, 37 years. They got Bradbury for 13 a year, and your other corner makes 18. And you're going to sign a safety for 14, right? I want to see it. Then we'll see if I'm wrong. I never said you wouldn't have one of the corners. You just ain't getting both and CJ. And I'll tell you what, if that happens, I will admit, man, I can't believe Howie Vision. And I love what Tone says about Howie Vision. It's not good or evil. It's just Howie. Slay's got to be so pissed off right now. Slay and his people. Think about this for a second. If you're Darius Slay, we're all living in Howie's snow globe. Think of this. If you're Slay, you requested an opportunity to be traded, and they granted it to you. And they just signed Bradbury to $14 million. How are you feeling? How are you feeling? They made it very clear today, the Eagle. How about this? Tone, our Twitter guys, the Eagles made it very clear today who their priority is, a corner. They told one corner, it's okay for you to go and seek a trade. And they signed the other corner to an average of $14 million. Who would you rather be today in Philly? James Bradbury or Darius Slay? Who would you rather be? They just told Darius Slay, hey, go ahead, you can seek a trade. He asked for it. They gave it. And they just paid Bradbury $14 million. Woo! Man, that's rough. That's the rough world of the NFL, baby. Hey, tomorrow, get this, guys. All of you. We agree to disagree many times. Tomorrow, 4:00 p.m. Eastern Time. There is no other place for all of us to be but right here when all these deals drop. Wow. And then day 2 and 3 will be Thursday and Friday. What an absolute incredible week. Okay? Hey, Tone, I want that last take on Bradbury, please, and Slay, because I think you would agree with me. They told one corner what they thought of him, and they told the other corner what they thought of him. Bradbury gets a deal. Slay's told he can seek a trade. Till tomorrow. Tone, awesome stuff, man. You've been spectacular. You have been spectacular, Tone. Xander, Big Joe, thank you very much. Guys, till tomorrow. 3 o'clock Eastern. Then 4 o'clock, the trading deadline. What happens? Howie lost the starter, kept the starter. The game of chess in the NFL continues. Till tomorrow, we'll see you on the flip side.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messon Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messon Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.